So a couple major storylines get advanced and continued here, such as Iron Man coming back from the future to recruit Spider-Man for war, Spider-Man in his new advanced suit and his new suit AI, potentially being the start of an iconic villain, and the Kingpin finally putting together his own Sinister Six. Now this is AJ at the Hero Informer, and let's get into it. So like I've said before, Iron Man, or Iron Lad, has used time travel to orchestrate events, specifically in giving different heroes their powers in suits, including Spider-Man here. And now with him finally back, he comes to check up on Peter to see how things have progressed. But as soon as he arrives back, the only thing on Peter's mind right now is questions about his suit. As he goes on to ask Iron Lad why is his new Picotech suit so different than the Goblin suit, and even Tony's for that matter. Tony then goes on to finally explain, saying not only was it the last breakthrough his father made, it was the last thing he made in general, because the Picotech suit, Spider-Man's new costume, is revolutionary, way beyond anything Tony now knows how to make. And the reason why Peter has it is because when he was putting the packages to send back in time, he thought the suit should go to someone who needed it the most. Something special for someone special. And just keep that little special line in your head because that will come back very shortly. But frankly, if I'm being honest, I don't really see what makes this Picotech suit so special or so different than say the Iron Man suit. If anything, right now at least, it has less features because the only special thing we've seen so far that it could do is produce its own organic webbing and change what it looks like, shapeshift. But of course that's only cosmetic wise. Otherwise functionally it seems to be like just an ordinary Spider-Man suit. I don't even know if it has enhanced durability. I mean it should to some extent, but I don't know if it's to the level of say an Iron Man suit. Like at least an Iron Man suit could fly and shoot repulsor blasts out of its hands. But hey, maybe soon enough Peter's suit will do something crazy and blow all of our socks off. But moving on, Peter himself then goes on to ask, what does he mean? What makes Spider-Man so special? And Tony, after removing his mask, then he goes to reveal everything, because as Tony puts it, Spider-Man is super special because he was at the top of the list. As you see, there is a database that exists. When the maker who built this entire world and how it is now, this quote-unquote great society, when he was shaping the universe, he started to eliminate all potential resistance in the form of other heroes or people who might rise up and defy his rule. And of course, for his mission for total control to be successful, there were a handful of heroes that was deemed mission critical to erase from history. And at the top of all of them was Spider-Man himself. Now you might be saying, okay, well, why? You know, Spider-Man isn't the most powerful, he's not the strongest, fastest, whatever, but in my opinion, why I think the maker decided Spider-Man was at the top and needed to go the most is because of what Spider-Man represents. At least in the main 616 Marvel Universe, there are many heroes from the future, or even in current time, that recognizes Spider-Man as the best of the best. An inspiring hero that, against all odds, still fights for justice and for the betterment of everyone. Now imagine a hero like that. A symbol inspiring not only citizens, but other heroes to rise against the Maker's rule. But that's just how I interpret it. The real reason is, I mean, he's Spider-Man. He's Marvel's biggest hero and arguably the most popular hero of all time. But as Tony finished talking, he then moves his attention to the Green Goblin, Harry Osborn, who is not only buddies with Spider-Man right now, but he is piloting a stolen suit, a stolen Iron Man suit. And because of this, you know, Tony Stark, they start to butt heads a little bit. With Iron Lad even going on to say, who are you even supposed to be in that stolen suit of yours? And of course, with the Green Goblin not wanting to just give up his identity if he doesn't have to, he tells him not to worry about it. But Iron Man does something pretty funny, as he literally touches a secret panel, revealing his face mask and secret identity, which of course is a callback and reference to before when Harry did the same thing to Peter. Coming back full circle now, as Peter even says as much, saying it's not cool when someone does it to you, now is it? And now with everyone acquainted and all that out of the way, Tony then turns back to Spider-Man, telling him that the Maker, an alternate version of Reed Richards, who constructed this entire universe in an attempt for absolute control, that he returns in a little over a year, and that the heroes of this reality have to make way and prepare for his return in eventual war and battle. But it seems like Harry Osborn had questions of his own, because he goes on to ask Tony, where was he? Where was he on the list? In the database of potential threats and critical heroes that the Maker had to have gotten off the board if his plans were to succeed. And Tony says something, well, kind of detrimental to Harry, as he says he wasn't on it at all. And of course, knowing Harry Osborn in his iconic fractured psyche and eventual road down to being a villain, telling him that he was never meant to be a hero, at least a good one anyway, probably isn't the best move. But Tony then goes to reassure him, telling him that if he's hanging out with Spider-Man, he's sure that he'll grow into the role. And for him to keep the suit and the company and all that, because Tony has moved on to bigger things, as he finishes his conversation suiting up and flying out of there to continue preparing for the eventual giant war that the Ultimates, this universe's Avengers, has to fight against the Maker. But what we see here 3 weeks later with Peter back in his apartment in New York City, we see him talking to MJ. As because right now there's a birthday party going on, one for his daughter May, and of course they're going to be late, typical Parker luck, so MJ gives Peter the task of going to grab the cake while her and the kids head straight to the party area. And as they finish talking, Peter then goes to grab his orb, the Picotech orb that houses his suit, but he then thinks against it, saying no, not today. We have a brand new, very strict no costume at Parker birthday parties. But before he can fully turn around and walk away, he hears a voice coming from the suit itself. As it goes on to say, well, that's disappointing, but tell the kids I said happy birthday. And of course, Peter being absolutely flabbergasted, because this thing, his suit, shouldn't be able to talk, at least not out loud, because in a previous part we did see that his suit, the Picotech suit, and Harry Osborn's Iron Man suit unlocked AIs. And of course the voice and personality of his AI, Peter molded after himself, but in no way, shape, or form should it be able to talk out loud without him even wearing the suit. But this little talking orb then goes on the joke saying, I'm not actually talking out loud, you're just imagining this. Confusing Peter, but it says just kidding, making an actual smile on his face, which I mean isn't creepy at all. You know, just your suit being fully alive and sentient, no biggie. But Peter then goes to pick it up, demanding an actual explanation on this. The sphere then goes on to say that it is a perfect replica of his psyche, housed in a totally independent, completely adaptable Pico shell. So of course that means it could talk. Even going on to, well, creepily say, he can do all kinds of other things. So Peter, rightfully being creeped out, goes to put the orb back down, telling it that when he gets back, they're going to have a long talk about this, as he rushes out to meet up with Uncle Ben and J. Jonah Jameson for his kid's party. And you know, there's a lot of speculation online on what exactly this could mean, and one of the more popular ones is that this could be this universe's version of Venom. And I know what you might be saying, well, isn't Venom an alien? How is it going to work with him being technology? Well, to that point, I could say in the previous Ultimate Universe, the Venom symbiote was created in a lab. It was originally developed as a cure for cancer. But of course, we've seen how that turned out. So who knows, maybe this version could be more of a technology based. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. And moving past that for now, we then pick up with Peter, Uncle Ben, and J. Jonah inside of a bakery, getting the last bit of resources, a cake and other things for the party, which is a shared birthday party between both children, not just May's, as I think I've said before, as because their birthdays falls in the same month, so the Parkers decide to celebrate them together. And as I get the cake and continues to talk, the topic of work comes up, because as you know, Uncle Ben and J. Jonah both quit working at the Daily Bugle and decided to start their own news firm, simply called and referred to as The Paper. And as Uncle Ben goes on to explain, the paper officially launches next month. And when it does, they want Peter on board because, as you see right now, in addition to Peter being, well, Spider-Man, being a vigilante and hero around the city, he also still works for the Daily Bugle. But J. Jonah and Uncle Ben are giving him an offer to work with them in this new news firm, The Paper. But of course, Peter is reluctant. He has spent so much time at the Daily Bugle, and throwing that all behind now, just for a chance of something that he doesn't even know that would work and pick up off the ground, is risky. More so now than ever, especially because he has a family to look over. But the two older men keep pushing for it and keep insisting. So instead of outright refusing and saying no, Peter simply says he'll have to talk to MJ about it, as they all head up and over into the arcade where the birthday is going forth. And inside we see, you know, normal birthday stuff. Peter playing Dance Dance Revolution with his daughter, everybody having a good time, but specifically what I want to point out is J. Jonah. As you see in this universe, which differs from normal 616, J. Jonah is actually close with Peter and his family, even being somewhat of a sworn-in uncle too, as he even brings Richard Parker, Peter Parker's son, and it's actually pretty interesting to see this type of dynamic. One, because in a normal canon, Spider-Man isn't even with MJ currently, let alone has a family, and him and J. Jonah don't have the best relationship, or at least to an extent like this here. But of course, with Richard being somewhat of a bookworm, Jameson decides to gift him a book, his own book that he wrote himself many years ago. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this dynamic and relationship goes between Jameson and Peter's children. But with that out of the way, everybody gathers around and continues to celebrate the birthday, with us seeing even a few Easter eggs in the back. On the arcade machines, things reading out Secret War and Invasion. You know, both iconic storylines, Secret Invasion and Secret Wars, but you can also interpret this another way. As while Peter and his family are having a pretty good moment right now, in the back behind them, there's an invasion. A secret war going on. A war gearing up not only to shake the entire city, but possibly even the world and everything that is known to them. As you cut over to Fisk Tower, where we see Wilson Fisk himself and his assistant. Because as you see, this is a really important night for Fisk. He isn't here alone, no. He's waiting for certain special people. Because he is putting together a team of highly skilled and individual people. And these people are not only known for their abilities and what they can do, but because Fisk has allocated them other portions of New York to watch over and rule the different boroughs. So while Fisk may be the king or ruler, or even the kingpin, some might say, of New York City, he has divided the other boroughs of New York into smaller sections to be controlled by other people. Some even iconic Spider-Man villains that you may know. We even see one in the form of Martin Lee, Mr. Negative, as him and a couple of his goons walk through the door, because Mr. Negative controls the Queens part of New York. We even see others, such as Walter Hardy, one of the greatest and most proficient thieves in the world, the notorious Black Cat. But of course he is way past his prime days, seemingly retired after having never been caught. But of course he uses his wealth to control his territory in the Bronx, even starting a family, but unfortunately his wife tragically passed, only leaving his daughter, Felicia Hardy, who many Spider-Man fans and just people with Marvel knowledge in general would know is obviously the Black Cat, and it seems she might even take after her father in the family business, but that is yet to be revealed. But of course his little party isn't done yet, as we see someone more dangerous, someone more focused, more directed, none other than Kravinoff, or Kraven the Hunter, as he once was a billionaire in Russia, but after being excommunicated, he now prowls and controls Staten Island. But there's something I want to bring up about this version of Kraven. As you see, while he still is a skilled hunter, going on to hunt every major dangerous animal in the world, his philosophy is well a little different, because not only has he hunted and killed most anything that can be, he always hunts in pairs. Two animals, every breed of animal or creature that he takes on, one he kills but the other he saves. Both trophies he preserves, and he won't be satisfied until he has killed one of everything. Up next though, we then see the person who controls Brooklyn, who is none other than Mysterio, which even Kingpin in his intelligence knows very little about, not even the identity of who is under that little fishbowl. But of course with Mysterio's presence, that still only leaves 5 total members, with even the current Black Cat going to say as much. But the comic then goes on to say, most people believe that there are 5 boroughs, but there are actually 6. The underworld is larger than all of the other 5 combined, and it is literally the foundation on which they rest on. As we move and see the final member of this little team and rulers of New York, Mole Man, which in and of itself is an interesting pick. It wouldn't be my first for a Sinister Six team, and is usually a villain of the Fantastic Four. But this team has a bunch of different faces and interesting power sets to go along, so we'll definitely see how Mole Man is used and how he interacts with the other iconic villains. But now with everybody gathered, Kingpin then goes on to explain why he even brought everybody together. Wilson then says, "This city is mine, and what is mine I have divided over the years and given a portion to each of you, but now it seems our city has an infestation. Some rats have forgotten their place." Clearly referring to Spider-Man and Green Goblin in the entire operation and planning to liberate New York from the Maker and his forces, including Kingpin and his people. And with everybody given a file on them, Kraven then speaks up, asking if Fisk prefers if the 6 of them catch them or should they just kill them. But of course with Wilson being as sadistic as ever, instead of this being a simple hunt or a capture mission, he proposes that they make some sort of game out of it. And what exactly this entails and how far this will go, we don't know yet as this issue and video comes to a close. If you enjoyed, leave a like or leave any thoughts or comments you have down below. If you're new to the channel and enjoy this type of content, subscribe and put post notifications on. Now this was the Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.